One of the most common questions I get asked is, what is the right age to get my kid a phone? And my answer is always something that they really don't want to hear. And it's not necessarily an age or a number, it is a readiness level. There are kids that are 8 years old and ready for a phone, and there are kids that are 16 and not ready for a phone. So it really, really depends on your child and your family's readiness. So today's episode, we're going to dig all into what those readiness signs are and how to step them through different levels of technology. So like I mentioned, I don't really like giving a hard, fast age as to when you should get your kid a phone. People still really want to hear an age number. So as we go through this process, I will put out some kinds of age ranges for you, but for the most part, it's going to be what your needs are and what the readiness level is of the child. And as they step through, what kind of signs that they are ready for the next level in this process. So a lot of the reasons why you might want to start out your kid with a communication device is you are a split family where they're spending some time at mom's house and sometimes at dad's house, and you want to be able to communicate with your child when they're with the other parent. That is a really common reason for kids who are 7, 8, 9 years old to have a communication device because they are in these split families. Another reason might be that you have frequent extracurricular activities. So you're on swim team, you have soccer practice, you are in band, or you have band practice. There are so many extracurricular activities that kids are involved in these days. And so you might need to get them a communication device earlier if they're involved in a lot of activities that keep them outside of the home where your parent is not readily available during that practice or game or whatever. Another reason you might need your child to have a communication device is if both parents are working out of the home. If your child gets home, when I was a kid, we were called latchkey kids, where you had to have your house key with you so you could let yourself into the house. We have so much technology these days that that's not really a thing, but latchkey kids still have a need to get a hold of their parent when their parent is not home and they need to get something from the house or just communicate. So there can be a lot of reasons why a child who has both parents working outside of the home would need to communicate with them. So generally, I see this range as early to late elementary school. So we'll say 3rd, 4th, 5th grade level for a first communication device. And what I'm going to recommend for their first device is a watch. So there's 4 options that I really gravitate towards. The first one would be the pinwheel watch. Second would be the Bark watch. Third would be the Cosmo watch. And then 4th would be an Apple iWatch. Now you are able to set up an Apple iWatch. The watch would have to have its own plan and service. So the other options, you would pay for their service with those different companies. But with an iWatch, then you have to add that watch to your cell phone plan. And you can set up an Apple iWatch for a kid that has parental controls with that built-in screen time. That is kind of probably the more expensive option. The other options are a little bit more affordable and have a lot more resources to make it safe for your child. I will do full review videos on both the Pinwheel watch, the Bark watch, and the Apple watch, kind of more of just a watch review video and go through all those different options. But for these purposes, those are the 4 options that you've really got for that initial device. So when are they ready to move up to the next level, which would be a phone? And a lot of kids, they want the phone, so this is a good place for them to start to show them how ready they are for that next level. So when my son had a watch growing up, he actually had the Gizmo watch from Verizon. The one thing I really don't like about the Verizon Gizmo watch, it is a really good option if you already have a Verizon plan, but you do need the Gizmo app on your phone in order to communicate with the watch. And so I like the options that don't require an app where you can just text the watch just from your phone. although you can set up different people that can communicate with the watch, they don't have to download a specific app in order to communicate with the watch. And that's what I like the most. So when my son was a kid and had his Gizmo watch, I told him he was not getting a phone until he was bringing his watch consistently when I needed to get a hold of him. So at first, he would leave his watch at home and he wouldn't answer it, and it would be kind of a sticking point. So I told him that if he wasn't going to bring his watch with him when I needed him to bring it, and if he wasn't going to take care of it, then he was never going to graduate to that next level of a phone. So that's the biggest thing, is, are they bringing the watch when you need them to have the watch in a way to communicate with them? Are they taking care of their watch? Are they taking care of the other devices that they have? Maybe they have a Nintendo Switch or a tablet or anything like that. So those are devices and toys they should be taken care of. And if they're not able to take care of that, then how are they going to take care of a phone? So they need to show you that they can take care of the other devices that they've already been granted access to. The other thing, are they getting their chores done without being asked? When they really want a phone, they're going to do a lot of things in order to get that phone. So this is a great time to instill good habits in your child and let them take the initiative and do the chores themselves and get the work that they need to get done in order to earn that phone. And also, are they getting good grades? Are they distracted by other devices that they have, a computer, a tablet, a gaming system? Are they making sure that they're able to get the work that they need to get done through homework and through chores before they're playing on these devices? So once you've established that they've got all that handled, they're doing great, it's time to graduate them to a kid-safe phone. That's going to be the next step. So that's going to be for kids 6th grade, 7th grade, 8th grade, that kind of age range. So late elementary, early junior high. Now the two phones I really recommend for a kid-safe phone is TrueMe. Full disclosure, I do work for TrueMe now, but I did recommend them before I worked there. And the reason I took the job is because I am passionate about what they stand for and what they do. So TrueMe is obviously one of the kid-safe phones that I recommend the highest, but Pinwheel is also a great option. I did review Pinwheel even before I knew about TrueMe. There are definitely pluses and minuses to Pinwheel and to TrueMe, so you can take a look at some of my review videos on both of those and see which one fits your family the most. Both of them will have the ability to set time limits on the phone, on the apps that are installed on the devices. They have app control where you approve the apps before they get installed onto the kid's device. They have contact limits, no social media. And what's great about a specific kid-safe phone, because the next option is going to be a regular phone with parental controls built in, but the kid-safe phone options generally have it so it's hard to circumvent that operating system. So when you have a third-party app like on an Android device or on an iPhone, it's going to be easier for your kid to get around those controls. And so with a kid-safe phone, it's very difficult for them to get around those controls, and it's very locked down. So they're going to be able to have a more curated experience and a safer experience on the kid-safe phone, that they're not going to be able to disable the controls and kind of get around all of the restrictions that you are trying to set for their device. So when are they ready to move on to the next level? Again, the same kind of readiness signals are going to be present. So are they using their kid-safe phone when you need them to? Are they bringing it with them? Are they using it appropriately? So are they not like spamming messages, early in the days when my kids first get a phone that's, message, and, over and over and over and over again. And they can be sending that to aunts and uncles and grandma and grandpa and their friends. And you're like, okay, you need to learn some manners with your text messaging. So are they using it appropriately? Are they talking appropriately? So with a TrueMe phone, you can get message monitoring and you can see what is happening in their conversations. So are they speaking with their friends appropriately? Are they using the device appropriately? Are they putting it down when you need to put them down, like not showing any signs of addiction? Still, are they taking care of their devices? Are they continuing to get good grades in school and getting their homework done? So a lot of those readiness signals are going to be the same. Are they getting their chores done? All of those different things. So making sure that they're ready for the next level, which would be about 13, 14, 15 years old. You might be able to step them to the next level. So generally what I say, they're ready for the next level when they're ready for social media. Are you ready to allow them to have an Instagram account or a TikTok account? So you can step them to the next level because these kids' safe phones don't have access to social media. So the next option would be an Android phone with Google Family Link installed. And I would also install the Bark app. Now, Bark has their own kids' safe phone as well, but that does allow access to social media and some other things. It does have the same, like, really hard to circumvent, but that's why I kind of recommended Pinwheel and TrueMe over the Bark application because it does not limit on a couple of different things. So it's a little more open than some of those other kids' safe phones. Also, it's not going to allow you to see the entire messages and not block messages, inappropriate messages from being sent or received. It will notify you, but it's not going to block any of that. So that is something that like TrueMe can do. So I've been starting out with the Android device because while an iPhone does have pretty good parental controls with their screen time, it is really easy to circumvent the iPhone parental controls, but where it lacks is not in the management of the device, but it's in the monitoring of the device. And when they graduate to that next level, you do want some heavy monitoring at the beginning, and especially in social media apps like Instagram. So with Bark installed on an Android device, you're going to be able to get alerts on concerning content within that device, whereas it's going to be harder for Bark to get that kind of data on an iPhone. So we're going to start them out with an Android device with some pretty tight parental controls powered through Google Family Link and through Bark. And then around 16, 17 years old, you're ready to start loosening the controls. So at that point, if they want to get an iPhone, I would say go ahead. If they want to stick with Android, my kids actually chose to stay with Android. So both of my kids who are over the age of 16 both have Android devices still. My daughter, who's 20, almost 21, also still has an Android device. That's just because that's what they prefer at this point. So, but at 16, 17 years old, go ahead. They need it. If they want an iPhone, go ahead and give them the iPhone. And then you can start relaxing some of those parental controls. So we'll start taking time limits off of Google Family Link or stop monitoring through Bark and continue to look at that. When they do start getting social media, I do like to do algorithm checks. And an algorithm check is basically, okay, hand over your phone for a minute. I'm just going to scroll through your social media feed. And when I scroll through the social media feed, I will be able to see what kind of content you are being fed. And that means that's the kind of content you are watching. So if it's something inappropriate, then we're going to have a conversation. If it's, a whole bunch of dog videos, then great, we're having fun. So at 16 or 17, again, we're going to start relaxing some of those parental controls, give them an iPhone, maybe set a bedtime, but don't limit the time during the day, and just continue to step out of controlling that device. So by the time that they're 18 or graduating high school, you are completely hands off. No more parental controls, no more time limits. And you might even start thinking about getting them their own phone plan. And this kind of helps get them off of your family plan. I mean, I'm not practicing what I preach on this. My 20-year-old is still on our phone plan. But if they have a job and they have the ability to pay for their own phone plan, I mean, she's in school, so I am still paying the phone plan, but it might even be a good idea to separate out that account so that they can take over the management of that. Maybe if they're still in school and they don't really have money of their own, you can pay them some money and they pay the bill. So, you're giving them some sort of like allowance for the phone bill, but this is going to help get them in the habit of paying their bills on time and understanding how much it costs to have a phone. So there you have it. that is the entire process of setting them up with communication devices throughout their life. Again, no hard, fast ages. I'm so sorry. You're not going to get that from me. But hopefully, this gives you a kind of guide in order to understand where your kids are going to be at and when it will be time to step them through the different levels of that process. So I hope this episode helps your family stay connected without getting tangled up in the wires, and we'll see you on the next upload.